Awesome. Well, anybody in Kansas City last year for the draft? Anybody out there that's back with us? A couple people. Well, if you were there, you heard Casey talk about how we're doing the damn thing here in Detroit. So a year later, my friend, how does it feel to finally be here with the draft upon us?
It's beyond nervous energy, and I see my friend Emily Griffin here too, and I can only imagine how she's feeling with the Detroit Lions. It's been nervous energy in that, you know, this venture of bringing the NFL draft started, 6-8 years ago, where, you know, as the NFL decided to, you know, take it out of the Marriott marquee in New York City and take it on the road, and started to see what was happening in like Chicago and certainly Nashville. And what happened in Nashville, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, just put it on a whole nother level. And, you know, so when I say we, Rocket, the Lions, Detroit Sports Commission, and certainly the mayor's office, we made overtures to the NFL about how do we bring the NFL draft to Detroit. And, you know, there are no's before yeses. So it wasn't as easy as, can we have it? Sure. It was pitching, being rejected, learning how to, you know, pitch better, if you will, and represent what is important to the NFL and what they're looking for to bring a draft. And here we are. I mean, it's all two years ago and change, where Roger Goodell and Mayor Duggan stood in Campus Martius right on the site where the draft is about to take place, and announced it. And, you know, one of the most amazing things is, and Mayor Duggan talked about this recently at a press conference, in which the easiest thing to do, if anyone went to the draft in Kansas City, it was great. It was down in a park, far. Like, I never saw Kansas City. And I was at Cleveland, and Cleveland's our sister city, and it was great. It was down by, you know, by the river next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the football stadium, and about a 20-minute walk into the core business district for Cleveland. The easiest decision for us as the city would have to put the draft in Belle Isle or out in Corktown or you know, an open field. And the hardest decision was, how do you drop it in the middle of a core business district? But that was with intent. And so, as I mentioned, 60, 70 million people watching it, 500,000 people, you know, knock on wood, you know, safely and enjoying the draft for 3 days. And so it's there's a lot of nervous energy, and I'm looking forward to Saturday night and kind of like when the lights go off.
I remember, you know, back in the summer when we were down here for the roundtables that we did at the headquarters here with y'all, and you kind of walked me around and showed me the vision outside. This is where this is going to be, and this is where the stage is going to be. So it's really cool to see it all come into life, and you know, seeing you make it happen. But, you know, tell us a little bit more about Rocket. Obviously, everybody in here is familiar with Rocket, you know, but just tell us a little bit more about, you know, the company, the history. Why is the city of Detroit so important?
Yeah, and so Rocket Companies, or formerly known as Quicken Loans, formerly known as Rock, you know, Rock Financial. You know, our chairman and founder, Dan Gilbert, 38 years young. And 14 years ago, when we were looking, I was not there, but you know, when the company was growing, it was upwards of 2,000 team members at the time. And like every other company, it was like, all right, we're expanding. We're you know, falling out of buildings. We're in different spaces around. We should maybe build a campus. And, you know, the prevailing thought was, great, we'll go buy land in Northville or near the airport, whatever it might be, like a lot of like typical, you know, we'll call it fintech or tech companies were doing. And there was one guy that said, I have a different idea. We're going to downtown Detroit. And I was not in that room, but I can imagine what the vote was. But there was one guy that had a veto vote. And one of the great quotes I've heard, and this has been passed down to me, was he asked the question of, wouldn't it be amazing if we look back one day and look around and said, look what we did here, and if it doesn't work, at least we say we tried. Yeah. And, you know, you look at that 14 years ago, and I've only been blessed enough to be part of the organization 7 years, and I've seen so much transformation, certainly in the downtown business district. And, you know, Dan, 2 years ago at the Cranes Newsmaker of the Decade, which was one of his first public appearances in a while, I mean, he wrapped it up with, if you think we've done a lot in the last 10 years, we're doubling down. And this is just a moment of that doubling down. And it's just not Rocket. It is public and private sector. It's working alongside, you know, the mayor's office and the city and commissions and, you know, partners like the Lions, and certainly the work that Tom Gores is doing in Arn at, you know, with the Pistons organization. So it's exciting.
Tell you, I am not from Michigan. I'm from Atlanta originally. I did marry a Michigander, and that's what brought me up here. But for 15 years, I've been coming to Detroit, and if anybody looked outside this building in 2008 or 2009, what you saw out there compared to today is a stark difference. And I think the Rocket definitely deserves a lot of credit, Dan Gilbert specifically, for putting everything that he's done into Detroit and making it an incredible place and bringing an opportunity like this. And expand on that. There's, coming from a different city, coming from a southern city, coming from a place like Atlanta that has jobs and people moving there constantly, being one of the biggest employers here, what does an event like this mean to attracting young talent to Detroit?
Yeah, and one of the things we talk about at Rocket is Detroit's at the intersections of brains and muscle. And Dan just spoke recently at with Dennis Archer Jr. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, kids, in the Metro Detroit area, they were going to school, right, going to college, blessed enough to go to college, and too many of them were then fleeing, right? Like, all right, I'm going to go to a school, Michigan State, wherever it might be, but I'm not coming home. I'm going left, right, or south. And it's like, what can we be doing here to make sure that we are keeping our talent in the city? So to answer your question, this again, it's a moment to shine a spotlight on the city. There's so much tech and investment happening in the city. It's just not Rocket. You look at Ford Motor Company, how they're opening, the train station again on June 6th. General Motors just made that amazing announcement, moving their headquarters up Woodward here in 2025. And you look at media companies that are continuing to invest in the city of Detroit. I mean, in many ways, as we said, like, we're just getting started.
It's a great place to do business. There's no question. We'll talk about corporate partnerships, and this is kind of the lifeline for a lot of these events. And so just talk about the role that Rocket's played in bringing the NFL draft, to Detroit.
Yeah, so it's been a true family effort, as I mentioned, certainly on the corporate and the public and private sector side. And so when the decision was finally made to host the draft in downtown Detroit, it is literally in the epicenter of our, we'll call it the bedrock and Rocket real estate space. So I've been taken through the deep plans. We actually took Dan through a 3-hour deep dive a few weeks ago, and my mind was blown. It's like, hey, I know what's going on with the draft. I was like, I had no fucking idea. When I was just watching the logistics and the coordination of how to, build the stage, but then operationalize it. I mean, the NFL obviously is an A+ operator, and they don't mess around. And so, you're going to see that all come to life. And just the thoughtfulness of, one is how to display, if you will, the product, but most importantly is what's that fan experience. At the end of the day, it's free. And everyone is hitting me up for tickets every day, and I'm like, it's super easy. This is the easiest one I got. So go to register, download the NFL One Pass, register, get there early. That's going to be my advice to all of you, is get there early, because there are some capacity constraints within the fence lines.
Yeah. How many people are you predicting?
Well, I'm not the PR guy, so I'm not going to answer that.
We're the marketing guy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you do. So, if you've been traveling in, you saw Aiden Hutchinson, you saw Rocket at the airport, you saw the huge Aiden Hutchinson banner, a part of, a lot of the different campaigns. Talk a little bit about some of the activations that you have going on down here.
Yeah, so we're a proud partner, obviously with the Detroit Lions, but also the NFL. I've been with a partner of the NFL the last 4 or 5 years. We did the first ever Rocket Mortgage Super Bowl Squares, which was really the first foray NFL did with, we'll call it gambling, if you will, or game of chance. And when the NFL draft, as we announced it coming here, we started thinking about what is the right idea to bring a fan engagement program to life. And if you think about the NFL draft, over those 3 days, 257 young men walked that stage, and their dreams are realized. I had the privilege of speaking to a bunch of draftees yesterday at an NFLPA event, and just looking at those young men, and every single one of those young men, they may have been an agent or manager with them, but almost every single one of them either had a partner, mom, dad, whatever it might be. And every single one of those young men that walked that stage over the next 3 days, they had a dream mate, right? Somebody that helped them along the way. And the best example I can use is Blake Corum, who I met through my buddy Dean Brody, and I spoke with him last night. There are hundreds of Dean Brodys, but also Blake Corum. Blake Corum, his story isn't as exciting as Blake.
There's only one Dean.
Yeah, but Blake Corum's got an amazing. So what we want to do is bring that story to life, and so we partnered. And we worked with an agency partner of identifying these dreammates and both current draftees and also in sports entertainment. So everyone knows who Tua Tagovailoa is, starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, and his younger brother who started at Alabama in his brother's shadow and made his own at Maryland. May be drafted, may not be drafted. We'll see how the board shakes out. We worked with Tua and Talia. And everyone knows the Aiden story, right? Aiden, born and raised here, living in the shadows. of Ford Field, and his story is, he's literally got a rocket on his back, facing the franchise, hopefully for the rest of his career. Emily, I'm foreshadowing the free agency, but his mom and sisters, right? I mean, I spent a few days with them, and I was blown. I was like, my family sucks. When I just spending a few days with them, I'm like, will you adopt me? And then we also worked with Taylor Rooks and Joy Taylor. You may not know who they are. They are two black female broadcasters, journalists. They have a podcast together, FS1 and Amazon. Joy is going to be with us on Saturday. And so we still told these stories about Dreammates. And what I'm going to do is run these back to back, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Tua, and I think I've got the Aiden work here that is now running as a digital social first campaign.
When you're in a pursuit of a dream, there's just so many things that get in the way. Having a family that can go and support you, and having any kind of dreammate, a friend, a mentor that you can rely on, extremely helps you in those moments. Being vulnerable is definitely uncomfortable, especially in football. With me having the background that I had, it's easier for me to kind of open up with guys, what they play for, what their why is, and kind of a little bit about their life. And I feel like that creates a better camaraderie and then just translates on the field.
Behind every dream, there's a dreammate who helped make it possible.
That's awesome.
For mom and dad, let's go. Oh, there you go. Growing up being a Samoan kid, like your last name is everything. For you, the one thing to not worry about or stress about is carrying the name. Anyone can tell you how good you are and the things you did good, but when it comes from certain people, you really take those ones into heart. I would just tell you, just go out there, play free, be yourself, be the football player that you are. Do it your way. That's the best way, always. You carried out the name and you paved the way for me. That's how you my dream mate, bro.
Behind every dream, there's a dreammate who helped make it possible.
And when it comes to that, all right, well, how does that tie back to the brand? We have a mission at Rocket is to help everyone home, right? And and even the turbulent world we live in, 95% of Americans still feel the path to, the American dream is being a homeowner. And that also, and that's also including how, the work that we're doing to help close the gap in underserved communities. So that campaign is live. Obviously working with influencers. I got Kirk Herbstreit down the street. We're gonna go spend some time with him in a little bit. We've got a bunch of fun activation. By the way, this thing, which Emily and I will tell the story on a panel one day about how this all came together. That's the first time a Detroit Lion's been on the Cadillac wall since Barry in the late 90s. I actually asked Barry if it was okay, because I'm like, I want to honor you. And he's like, well, cut me a check and you can do it. I'm like, not so fast. He didn't ask that. It was an honor. I was like, I want, I showed this to Aiden's mom before it went live, and she started tearing up. I'm like, well, do you mind doing your Christmas card in front of this and maybe give me some added value, as we say in the business? And we're taking over the Q. The city wants to fine us $10,000 a day for this. I'm like, send me a check. I don't give a shit. And then down at the activation, so 500,000 people enjoying it. Down at Hart Plaza, all the NFL O&Ps, so Little Caesars will be down there. Marriott, Bud Light, down in the thing. The Hart Plaza is going to be awesome this weekend for you, your friends, your family. We are literally building a home. The drywall is up. I was in there yesterday. I was doing my walkthrough. I'm going through today at 2 o'clock, but we built this home where people are able to go in, do your selfie, do a selfie, do some trivia, trophy room. We've got a bunch of programming taking place, which I'll show you here in a second, through the week. So, we've got Taylor coming, Jameer, Nate's going to be helping us. We got our boy Calvin, Aiden, Brad, and then, the GOAT, Barry's going to be there along with Joy, and Rhonda Walker has been so great. It's so awesome when you just can call people in the Detroit community, and Rhonda Walker and Brad Galley, and they're like, yes. And, I didn't even ask what I need yet, but yes. If it's going to help lift what we're doing here in the city of Detroit, I am there. And that's what Detroit is all about. Hopefully people see that left and right. So, so it's we're excited for the activation this week, and there's going to be so much to do. I'm encouraging everybody, it's free, come down, get here early. tons of transportation options, right? Go to visitdetroit.org, has all the traffic, QR codes everywhere, and it's going to be a great family event. My wife and kids are going to be joining me Friday, and I'm really going to enjoy Saturday with them.
Same. Yeah, I'm bringing my kids down for Friday. So is that what Jameer's there? Is that?
You know what? I should know the damn schedule. He's here this week.
Jameer's a big deal in my house. So, yeah.
Great kid.
When Casey calls, you say yes. That's the point of that story, right?
Yeah.
So, listen, I can't help but to draw similarities to, the Dreammates campaign and, the campaign that we showed that the NFL featured with us. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not alone, right? And regardless of, where you are in life, what you're trying to accomplish, we're better together, right? There's strength in numbers. And when you have people you can rely on, you can go to, right? You can get mentorship from. It only is going to accelerate your growth and help you. And I love the message behind those campaigns. It's awesome. What's next? Tell us what's next for Rocket.
What's next?
Once you get through these next 3 days.
What's next? Well, a few things. Here in the city, we've got the Grand Prix in, 5 weeks.
Not
right.
a month.
What an awesome move! If you did not get a chance to go to that last year, I mean, that move from Belle Isle to downtown Detroit was like masterful.
Yep.
Bud Denker and the Penske group that puts that on. It's such a great family event. And I don't know how they're doing tickets again this year. A lot of the viewing was free last year.
Yep.
That comes out right after Memorial Day weekend, and then a few weeks after that, at the Detroit Golf Club, the historic Detroit Golf Club, chalets and tickets available. We've got our 6th Rocket Mortgage Classic, our PGA Tour event. Our defending champion Ricky Fowler will be there. We just talked to him the other day. And that is an event that continues to build momentum. And yes, it's a great golf event, but we utilize it to continue our mission of helping also bring digital inclusivity to the city of Detroit. When the pandemic happened, it shined the unfortunate spotlight on the fact that over 60% of Detroit residents, which is unfathomable in 2020, did not have, think about EVERFI and what the work that you do, in the lack of digital inclusivity was there.
Yep.
But no one saw it until the pandemic hit, and then the kids went home. And then these young people, didn't have internet access or hardware, and then obviously the world of telemedicine that we were all introduced to. So we've used the Rocket Mortgage Classic as our springboard to help raise money for 313 Connect. And so I'm proud, and it's certainly Rocket Mortgage Classic, but there's a ton of partners and work with United Way that, now we're at 70% inclusivity, so we've gained 30% in a few short years. Much more to go. But we use that Rocket Mortgage Classic for that. And one of the things that, listen, it's, this isn't being recorded, but I've got some friends here. Where's Lexi and Andrew? There's Lexi. Where's Andrew? Did he leave? Mike went out, where are you? Oh, there he is in the back. I'm taking over his suite at Shinola tonight. Appreciate it, buddy. But Andrew and Lexi are with Rock. And Rock is Dan's family office. We have 100 plus companies in our portfolio. Obviously we know the fintech brands, but as we think about Shinola, 100 Thieves, obviously our sports investments with the Cavaliers and the Rocket Mortgage Field Houses, we're on a mission to bring even more to the city of Detroit. Yes, Hudson is going vertical. Yes, we're starting to go vertical on Madison as we clean up after the NFL draft. And we do a lot of sports here, but we want to bring more cultural defining things to the city of Detroit. So keep your hands up, Lex. There you're in the corner, and Andrew's there in the back. And we've got friends here from Penske Media. And that, as a brand, if you're interested, we are in Penske Media, as you well know, Billboard, Rolling Stone, the brand behind South by Southwest, Life is Beautiful, in which we are working together, and not to be announced yet, but a really amazing cultural defining moment, if you will, and experience that we're going to be bringing here to the city next summer. Is that cool, Lexi? All right.
Can't wait.
I'm off script at this point. I'm reading her bullet points verbatim, except for that point. But it's too early to talk about it, but we got a lot of powerful brands in here, and so if you want to join the movement of what's happening, brands like Ally and Cadillac, one of these days we'll get Stellantis doing stuff. Oh, actually, they're working with us at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Thank you very much, Nicole and the Jeep team. They're working with us at RMC, but there's great things happening in the city of Detroit and bringing more culturally defining events and experiences like we're going to be doing with Penske. That's what's next, and awesome, just getting started.
Give it up. Give it a round of applause for that. All right. We got a few minutes left. We'll wrap up and have some fun here. Do a little rapid fire.
All right.
We good on time?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
We got 5 minutes.
So, favorite athlete growing up?
I'm aging myself. Alan Trammell.
Ooh.
Still my favorite. When I was in 6th grade, I went to Bud Middaws. I mean, Dean probably knows who this is. He's the old Michigan baseball coach back before Bill Freehand, what have you. And I went to his baseball camp at University of Michigan. I was wearing an Alan Trammell t-shirt. I was like, still to my day, he's my hero. And I got to play catch with Alan Trammell in 6th grade. I'll never forget it. And I've got a great photo in my basement. I have a big sports autograph collection. And I got a photo of me at like 8 years old and a photo of me at like 40 with Alan. And
that's awesome.
Every time I see him, I'm giddy. So Alan Trammell.
Favorite Michigan State sports moment?
Jesus. I have a few. And they're all in person, which is amazing. 2000, when we won the Natty in Indy, I was there and got absolutely blasted at the Slippery Noodle till 4 in the morning. That's awesome. I didn't have the budget for St. Elmo, so just Slippery Noodle and partied so hard. Rose Bowl. I was blessed enough to be at the Rose Bowl, and then I was at the Little Giants game. God damn, a 50-yard field goal in the wind. Kicker had missed 2 or 3 shots, and D'Antonio rolls them out. Rolls out the holder, if I remember correctly, and hit the tight end, Nat, Brother Rice kid, down the right sideline. So I mean, there's been some cool sparring moments. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. For anybody out of town, favorite Detroit restaurant?
Prime and Proper.
Prime and Proper.
Yeah.
Nice. Number 2?
I'm a big fan of Layla's of late. Lay Supreme is awesome. There's so much opening up. I literally have now a dossier. My executive assistant is here. We now have a OneNote page where I'm just like feeding her. Every time I'm like, I see an eater or Yelp or blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, here's another one.
Gotta try this.
Yeah, just opening left and right.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible the food culture that's kind of exploding.
Great foodie town. Everyone that comes to visit and friends of ours that the people that move here. I'm like, our new CEO just moved here from SoCal, and he's like blown away by the food culture here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, since you called out my fresh white kicks, favorite pair of shoes you own?
I don't know if I have a fave. I've got a couple of special pairs that I'm going to bust out for the right special occasion. I have a really cool pair of custom Michigan State shoes that are an homage to like Tom Izzo and Sparty's, and they've been in a box for 4 years. And I look at them once in a while, and I will bust them out when Coach Izzo raises that NCAA championship trophy for the second time.
He said he's going after it.
He's going.
Sticking around.
Gotta get going.
Favorite music venue in Detroit?
Oh, Pine Knob.
Pine Knob.
I took my kids there for the first time this year. I took my son, 13 years old, to see Post Malone, which was an interesting choice. And I had to do a lot. I had to explain a lot to Mom when we got home. Yeah. And then at one point, we had nice seats, and I'm like, hey, let's go do the hill. And then after about 3 minutes on the hill,
let's go back to our seats.
Like, Dad's too old for this shit anymore. Let's go to the seats. Yeah.
That's hilarious. House music or rock and roll?
I'm old school rap guy, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I like old school rap. Beastie Boys.
There you go. All right. We can get down with that.
Yeah.
They kind of cross both sides, Adam Yauch used to play punk rock in New York City, played at CBGB's before Beasties, so good stuff. Favorite Rocket commercial that you've ever been a part of?
Ooh. Man. Probably the Jason Momoa Super Bowl spot from a few years ago where he had never done a Super Bowl spot before, and we had him, Momoa's buff, and then we pitched him this idea of making him super skinny, and we actually found a talent. The kid had never been we had to body double it, and it was all green suited, but this kid was the same exact height, but he weighed about 95 pounds, and it was just him, and he was Momoa's exact height in body frame. And then Jason was so awesome. We filmed him in here. He loves Detroit. He owns some property out in Pontiac, and he's obsessed with Detroit. And he came here during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, because he wanted to tell the story of Detroit through his eyes. Flew here on his own. It was just me, his camera guy, and I had a cop with us, and we just rolled around the city all day because he's like, I love Detroit, and I want to tell the story through my eyes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I know you've been to a lot of Major League Baseball parks. Give me a favorite Major League Baseball park, but expand top 3 sporting venues that you
Top 3 sporting venues? Well, I'll give you 3 baseball. I'm old school, so I'll give you old school, new school. Old school, Fenway and Wrigley.
Yep.
New school. I mean, now it's a quasi old one, but I'm still a huge fan of Camden Yards in Baltimore, which is that really got the new architecture behind MLB ballparks going back in the early mid '90s. Petco Park in San Diego, which is awesome.
Park.
And a little bit old / Bill school is, and I think it's now called Oracle in San Francisco, the old Pac Bell. Sitting there, and then that really started those ballpark moves like Riverfront, or Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, where they're built on the river and take in the scene of the city. So those are 3. And then coolest sporting venue? Man, I've been to a bunch. I mean, I've been to hundreds of sporting venues. I don't know why I'm going to say this, Brandon's going to love this, but I think the Madison Square Garden is as classy as it gets. It's a shithole, but it's a shithole, but you just walk in there and you're like...
You just feel it.
Yeah, you
They
feel
picked it
it.
up and dropped it like in, 3 different places?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that crazy? I will give a shout out, if you ever get a chance to go overseas for any NFL games, I was at the Lions-Falcons at Wembley Stadium about 8 years ago. Absolutely amazing experience. So if anybody gets a chance,
the Lions will get back on the road. Emily keeps telling us that they're going to get on the road.
Oh
so
yeah, they're America's team now, right? Took over the Cowboys. Hey, last question. Yeah, America's team. Okay, yeah. I would say Lions. Get back. Last question. What does 52-year-old Casey tell 23-year-old Casey?
The movie Ferris Bueller?
Yeah.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, it'll pass you by.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.